Please, and thank you so much for coming and bringing this responsibility to introduce the work of your father.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But the photo here is of my father and mother, my mom Ingrid Bergman and my father Roberto Rossellini. But the film that you're going to see tonight, called Rome Open City, was done before they met. Actually, my mother saw the film in Hollywood and was very impressed with the film and wrote my father a letter saying, I want to work with you. And that changed not only her career, but also changed her private life because they fell in love and they made several films and several children, including me. What was new in Rome Open City? It was baptized, or was called by the critics, a new style in cinema, and it was called neorealism. In fact, it looked very much like documentaries, but it weren't documentaries. They looked very realistic. My father liked to work with non-actors, or maybe one or two excellent actors that played against non-professional actors. My father believed that even if you take an excellent actor like Cary Grant, and you ask him to be a king or a fisherman, it's always Cary Grant interpretation of that person, that there is an authenticity in the people's hands and sunburn and the ability to, I don't know, touch the nets that an actor could never mimic. So his cinema was a combination of actors, and in Rome Open City you see a great Italian actress called Anna Magnani, who also brought into acting a spontaneity and a realism that was unseen before. And also she's sort of unkept, her hair and everything, she really real. It wasn't anything about glamour. And this, I think, it was the great revolution of my father's work. My father saw, and I think that's why is still honored here tonight in your mission, he saw the cinema as a way to reach and distribute information the fastest way and to a wide audience. He said to me, you know, if I were to describe an elephant, I have to say it's a very big and it's gray and a very, very long nose, and it would take me a long time to describe it. And the way you would imagine it, it will probably have many mistakes, or even if I have to read this description. But if you saw one film, and if you see not only the still, but how it moves, in 2 seconds you have a very precise idea of what an elephant is. So my father saw film as revolutionary in terms of information and culture. He also felt that the access to culture through book needed first knowledge of how to read, and that to master it takes at least 10 years, you know, how long you go to school. While film would talk directly to you. So the great revolution of my father's film was to take cinema away from the entertaining, away from the spectacular, away from the Hollywood tradition, and instead use it as an instrument of knowledge. When he did Rome Open City, which was done in 1945, as the war was winding down in Europe, he was unaware yet of what he wanted to do with the rest of his life toward film. He said that he felt an incredible need to express what the war was really about. Film about the war were generally film of propaganda, to encourage people, to inflame them in different political positions. But my father's film instead talked about how was it for the civilian to live through the war. In Italy, when the film came out, it was badly received. It got bad reviews. The critics said that, you know, an Italian saying that your dirty laundry should be washed at home. They felt that father exposed Italy shortcomings. Italy, of course, was an ally of Germany, Hitler. Italy was the the enemy toward America and other countries. The film instead was shown in New York, got very good reviews, and it was America that accepted the film. And I never understood why, because actually America is the place where a film is all about entertainment, so why would I like my dad? But Martin Scorsese, the film director with whom I was married, explained to me why. He was growing up in America right after the war, and actually Rome, Open City, Paisa, my father's film, redeemed the enemy to America. Italy, of course, was a fascist country, but when this film came and talked about how the civilian lived the war, they have a power of seeing beyond the political. You're seeing the human being, and it reconciled America toward the Italian, and of course their big Italian-American community that Marty belonged to. My father made several other films in what the critic called neorealism. Rome, Open City was the first one, followed by Paisa, and then he went to Germany, to Berlin, and made a film in Berlin because he also wanted to understand what was about the Germans, not the Nazis, and very touching films. And then he met my mom, and they started making films together, and of course there was an enormous scandal because they were both married, and Mama was a very big actress in Hollywood, and Hollywood did not pardon my mom to become pregnant from my dad before she obtained the divorce, so she was banned from the United States. And that's the reason why I have an accent, because I was only allowed back here when I was 19 years old and learned the language then. My father, I think, and you would have more of an illustration, of the more he matured as an artist, the more he saw his work didactically. He almost saw films as an instrument of knowledge. He made my films with my mom about the crisis that followed the war, because the war occupied the surviving occupied your entire being. But then when the peace came and you had to reconstruct the country, he made several films about my mother, about the identity of Italy, and one of the most wonderful one is Stromboli and Viaggio in Italia, Trip to Italy. And then my father focused more and more on what he saw his mission in cinema, and he started to make biographical portraits of Pascal, Socrates, so much so that they will be explained to you later. My brother Renzo, who is looking after the foundation he made after my father, my brother Renzo worked with my father. He's the oldest one of us, so he worked and collaborated with my father. So my father worked as a whole, as an attempt to make like an encyclopedia, a history with several chapters, but I would let somebody else explain in greater detail. My father's influenced cinema enormously, and I'm an actress myself, and I am delighted that still today I meet young film directors, they're 35, 40 years old. My father was never a very big box office success, but he was he was more influential than successful in the box office. And still today, his realism, his simplicity, and yet, we'll see Open City, it would move you immensely, still has an enormous power. And Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola, James Gray, I can go on with the list of directors that looked at him as a great master. I hope you will enjoy the film, and I hope that my father's word and talent and work will still be an inspiration to your mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Isabella. Isabella is not only an actress, but she's also a director, and she has also several documentaries that you can always find. So on the website. So, Paul, would you like to invite?
I want to just introduce professor Minervini, just will illustrate the Encyclopedia, which is on the way, no? It's working on.
Yes, we're working on
So
it.
we present the state of art of this great job and Renzo is doing now.
Yes, I'm using this one. Buonasera. I'm speaking on behalf of Renzo Rossellini today because he couldn't be with us. As many of you already know, Roberto Rossellini, artist and humanist, collaborated with the FAO to find solutions to international problems of hunger and poverty. In the 60s, he spoke at a FAO conference, he presented, and he also shot a documentary for them to help solving the problem of hunger in the world. Today, this documentary, unfortunately, is lost, but there are many other works by Rossellini that testify to his mission and his lifelong engagement to solve such long-term problems such as hunger, disease, and ignorance. He conceived the Audiovisual Encyclopedia of History as an instrument to transmit the whole history of the world culture. He was driven by a passion to share knowledge and to reach a more profound understanding of the world because he thought this would have contributed to solve the world's challenges. Although Rossellini died in 1977, before he could complete his project, he left to his son to realize the task in accordance with precise instructions. Actually, Renzo has always been accustomed to think of his father's cinema as comprising three distinct utopias: to reach peace, to fight prejudice, and in ignorance. And we can evoke Renzo actually to speak directly about this, his view on his father's cinema.
Io ho sempre diviso l'opera di mio padre in tre utopie. Roberto Rossellini è stato il regista che ha fatto più film di guerra o sulla guerra ed erano tutti film contro la guerra, quindi la prima utopia è l'utopia della pace. È stato anche un regista che ha fatto tanti film con protagoniste femminili, ma l'unico regista della sua epoca a non aver mai rappresentato una donna nuda, ma le donne solo come grandi portatrici di sentimenti, di intelligenza e di valori umani. Quindi la seconda utopia è l'utopia contro i pregiudizi. Pregiudizio contro la donna, ma anche pregiudizio contro qualunque diversità. Roberto Rossellini ha fatto moltissime ore e film per la televisione perché la sua terza utopia era di liberare l'uomo dall'ignoranza. Pensava che questo secolo fosse il secolo in cui si sarebbe liberato l'uomo dalle malattie, forse in alcuni casi dalla fame, ma bisognava anche aiutare l'uomo a liberarlo dall'ignoranza.
So in the end, Renzo decided to follow his father's request. My Renzo, Rossellini wrote in a letter, I dedicated my entire existence to try to make cinema and art useful to people. In these last years, I myself concentrated on television, but I believe, as you know, that my objective has always been the same. Now that I have given myself the objective of the realization of the first Encyclopedia of History, I want to leave you the task of completing it, putting together my films in encyclopedic form. So, Rossellini set out to become the first director to preserve for posterity his films in the form of encyclopedia. This meant to order them chronologically, not following the dates in which the movies were made, but actually according to the historical period that each film portrayed. This part of the project became what we have named Time Machine, and what I'm going to show you has not been shown before in the United States. It's the project we've been working on. Oh, sorry, not this.
Io ho sempre
This is Time Machine. It contains historical commentaries as well as the films, organized in new chronological order. And it contains both films that were finished as those that remained unfinished. So we have Iron Age, for instance, and then all the way a long time. For instance, we have St. Francis here, and it opens on the flower of St. Francis. Now we have the Italian edition here, and there is the entire production, and also movies that only remained projects. Now the second section of this first layer, it's called filmography, is a more traditional organization of his movies. And it contains an incredible richness of documents, scripts, film reviews, even testimonies. For instance, a clip that shows what Isabella Rossellini was talking about before, so the first time that her mom saw this movie. It should open.
I happened to see a picture called Rome Open City, and it so struck me, it so moved me, and it was the real feeling, and people were real, and that wonderful human feeling came across the screen that it was hard to find. Now, I don't want to say that all Hollywood movies were that, because I made myself so many good movies in Hollywood that I'm terribly grateful for. It was just that I was looking for something new, something different.
And because new concepts have resurfaced when Renzo and his collaborators have been reorganizing Rossellini's entire opus, the third part is in fact forewords. And it opens up, it's divided in three sections: man, society, and science and progress. And each section opens up on a cloud of words. And each of these words opens a clip on a related concept that can be portrayed through Rossellini's works. And the last section is called cinema. It contains Rossellini's idea on cinema, on acting, his methods, and also his inventions and patents. And now here, in this last clip, I would like to show you Rossellini talking about his idea of auteur cinema, and which for him is the engagement of a man who lives in society, who possesses a skill that should be used for the benefit of humanity. It's in Italian, it's not subtitled yet, but it's really too beautiful to be missed.
Sì, penso che il cinema d'autore che cos'è? Dovrebbe essere? Dovrebbe essere l'impegno di un uomo che vive in mezzo alla società, perché poi c'ha una facoltà, c'ha un mestiere per cui si può esprimere, deve metterla a servizio della comunità. E se uno si mette e diventa un padre eterno, beh, non bisogna aspettare gli attori.
So, as you heard, it was very important to share this skill for the benefit of the whole community and humanity. So 35 years after his death, Rossellini's message and his vision of art have not worn with the passage of time. So this encyclopedia has been realized in support of his idea of a socially engaged art. And at present, the organization, and this is the digitalization of an incredible amount of material, has been performed, but we're still working on it. We need to add some documents and also to subtitle over 115 hours of film, and over 2,000 pages of documents need to be translated. So we've been working full time to realize this dream. Thank you.
I just got one
one question.
Sure.
It's regarding, because obviously this is material which is extremely useful in educational
Of course,
tool. And
yeah.
so I was wondering, what are the possibilities for having that in the universities? What are the possibilities of having actually something like that for the schools? Because anybody who wants actually to be in the film has to see something like that, and it's also a fantastic example for some other filmmakers.
Sure. This has also been my task to promote this encyclopedia in the United States, and I'm an academic myself, so I want to share this with other people. This is only a prototype. As you saw, it's not in Italian. Some also graphics are missing. We've been working, and one of the projects that I am working on is writing a grant to get some money. And so when it's, the idea is to put it on a website to make it available worldwide.
And also because I'm teaching at Stanford University, so it would be wonderful to have exposed the future filmmakers in the UCLA and Columbia University and NYU to have this tremendous treasure to just to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And so I've been helping Renzo organizing a tour of American universities next fall. So he's presenting in London next week. And for the United States, it takes a bit more organization because of the higher costs. But New England institutions, California institutions express their interest. So if you want, I can tell Renzo to come to
we
you
already
as
talked
well.
about that.
Okay,
Well,
sure.
thank you very much. This is extremely important to learn about the real treasure for the filmmakers, for the community, and the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. From Renzo.
Thank you.